Yo, what's going on, fam? It is your boy Tahir Johnson. We're back. Another episode of the Cannabis Diversity Report. Today, I have my homie Martine Pierre. It's an exciting episode. Let me tell y'all. First of all, Cannulation University. But man, I know that she's about to drop some crazy gems on y'all about marketing in the industry. She really is an expert. Kills everything. Everything she tweets goes viral. But really, she's building. She really saw the need to be able to try to educate people about opportunities in the industry, and she jumped right in and has been doing that. So, Martine, it's a pleasure to rap with you today. What's up?
What's up? It is such a pleasure to be here. I'm finally on here.
We made it. You know, it's dope. I know we've been connected, like talking on social media and everything for a year, like for the past year. I really see you doing some great work. So tell me out here, talk a little bit about who you are, what you do, and your company.
Sure. So my name is Martine, and I am the founder and president of Cannabis. We are a social networking platform and an educational platform. So we're somewhat of an ed tech company with a social networking aspect to it. One of the biggest things that I saw in cannabis, I got my start in cannabis back in 2018. So I come from a marketing background, and that background started out with, I was working in the yachting industry. So I was doing yachting, and then a friend of mine told me about a gig for a social media marketing position with a company out in California. So and that was pretty much like my introduction to the cannabis industry. And I would say that was around 2018. And around that time, when I first got my start, I was like, well, I don't see no Black people in nothing. Right. And I was just really confused. And because I've always wanted to own a cannabis company since I would say about 2016. I've always had this idea to have a website or to have I wanted a subscription box service. That was the first thing I wanted. I wanted to start a subscription box service in cannabis for women. That was the first thing I ever thought about. But I just started noticing how there just wasn't enough people of color. And beyond that, there just wasn't enough people who represent those who actually smoke. Because there is no standard to who smokes. Old, Asian, Black, white, it does not matter. I've seen judges, I've seen police officers who have a track record of being smokers. So I just thought it was crazy that every time I saw anything regarding marketing, it was this long-haired white boy, skater dude. And that's the imagery that we get for stoners in America. And I thought that was mad crazy. So long story short, 2020 comes around. This is around June. And in my mind, I'm like, you know what? Maybe I should put this out there. So I put it out into the universe. I was like, hey, I want to help more men and women, Black men and women, get into the cannabis industry. If I started a Slack group, would you be interested in joining? And I'm thinking like 2 or 3 people are going to like respond. No, I had over 4,000 retweets. I had 2,000 responses. Like till this day, I still have not gone through my DMs and gone through every single DM that I've gotten. So in my mind, I'm like, damn, and the crazy thing about Cannabis is that we have people on our wait list, not just in the United States. We have people on our wait list from around the world, from Germany to South Africa to Lesotho, and we're talking about on the continent. And they're telling me that, yo, this issue is not just in the United States. On a global scale, Black and brown people do not have any type of ownership in this space. Mm-hmm. And in my mind, I'm like, that's a problem. How can we necessarily move forward in this industry if we do not have ownership? I'm not against, us coming into the industry and working our way to the top. But to me, I think ownership is important because ownership is how we really are going to change the DNA and the structure of this industry, in my opinion. So this tweet goes viral. And here we are 10 months later, building out an app, 11 months later, building out an app, and Cannabis was born.
That's super dope. And You know, I think you made such a good point. It's like when you recognize cannabis, there really is a need for. I feel the same way. Like the messaging, right? Like for us to be able to spread the message about just the industry, the possibilities of that to our people. So, you know, I think that's a lot of what's been missing, and by you coming in and filling that void is what what made a big difference.
Definitely. And when I thought about it, I was like, the first thing I did when that tweet went viral, because I started getting a lot of messages from people who were already in the industry. You were one of them. I had
Mm-hmm.
actually got that ticket to, I think there was, I forgot what conference it was. I had ended up getting a ticket from you actually.
It was the Uplift joint. That was right when we
It
were
was
doing
the
that last
Uplift.
year.
Exactly. I ended up getting a ticket to that. And that was actually from you, because that's how you ended up seeing me, from that tweet as well. And I had so many people just like you coming, who were already in the industry, who were like, yo, like, I love what you got going on. What can I do to help? And ever since then, so many people have been like a huge blessing to me, because I cannot build this is a mammoth, a beast of a company to try to build on my own. We're talking about tech. Like, I don't know nothing about tech. I'm not a tech person. I come from like an SEO and marketing background, but to say like coding and stuff like that, that's not me. So to even be building out this company right now is like crazy to me. Because I wake up and I think about it all the time. I'm like, damn, a tweet?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're here from a tweet. Like, we are building an entire app from a tweet. And that just goes to show you how crazy life is and how powerful social media is. And when I thought about that, I was like, all right, it has to be an app that we build, because we can't be at the mercy of Facebook and Instagram and all these major platforms that already have a huge bias towards cannabis because it's not federally legal, right? So I was like, we got to have an app. We have to have an app, because we cannot have the work that we're doing disrupted. I've seen plenty of people get deleted. I've been deleted. I've seen
Mm-hmm.
plenty of people get deleted off Instagram and Facebook. We can't do ads on Facebook. There is no ads on any of these platforms. YouTube just allowed cannabis companies, and you have to have a trademark in order for you to even do any type of advertising. Like, people aren't playing about this. So it was really important to me that we start our own ad network, to where we're highlighting our people. And then it was also really important to me that I build a platform that is not extremely expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Keeping costs low was one of the biggest things that was really important to me, because the reality is, we in the panoramic, most of us don't have the funds to really put into the things that we want to. So making sure that we were keeping things cost effective while we're building out the app and the community for people was also very important too.
So talk a little bit about, because you talked a little bit about the marketing background and your expertise in SEO, and especially the fact that, like you said, cannabis companies largely can't do traditional advertising. What are some of the best practices or solutions that you think people can try to nail to try to brand, get their company out there?
I think the most important thing, and what has definitely worked in my favor, is to continuously tell your story. Storytelling for brands are so important. Every single person that I've met, who is, whether they're in the legacy market or in the legal cannabis market, they got their start because it was their mom who was suffering from cancer, or dementia, or Alzheimer's, or their grandma was sick, or their dad was sick. Me, I started smoking because I had really bad menstrual cramps for years, and it wasn't until I started smoking they actually went away. So everybody has a story, that personal story of why they began. What's your story? Why are you doing what you do? And when I think about a business, I look at business from a problem type of standpoint. What problems are you solving? I saw a problem in the cannabis industry, so I built Cannalution to solve that problem. And I think if a lot of people start their business ideation at that problem statement, you will realize how much easier it is to build. But as you continue to build, blogging is not dead. SEO is one of the biggest ways that the most major companies get clients and people to come into their websites. And the reality is you have to learn how to win over the internet. If you know how to really talk to the internet and speak your customer's language, it's not going to be a problem for you to have an audience. For me, I think it came so naturally to build because I already had that marketing background. But beyond that, I'm loud. I make my presence felt. Like, you gonna know I'm here. And I continue to be that way. But you have a lot of people who are timid and shy. So blogging is not dead. Influencer marketing is not dead. People, like, when you look at it's not going anywhere. I think influencer marketing is another one of the biggest things that cannabis industries is going to be continuously using. And it makes me upset because they're not using enough Black influencers.
Right.
All these influencers that you see, I'm tired of seeing that white man with dreads. Like, that does not, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that. That does not represent me. That does not, like, I can't relate to that. I have not seen enough Black women. You know what I'm saying? And I know plenty of Black mothers. Like, it's just not a lot of representation in how they represent us in the marketing for cannabis. And that was another thing that for me, because Candalution is also a media company. So we're going to be creating and producing and directing our own content. So it was important to me that we're creating content that is relatable to us. Like, I'm doing this for the culture, because every time I look at these cannabis companies, I'm like, damn, like, y'all don't have no Black influencers? Like, y'all don't work with Black people? Like, y'all don't have no Black friends? Like, why am I always seeing this same thing? So to me, if you come into this industry, it's not easy. First thing you have to think about to me is you got to have a plan from the get-go. When I came into this industry, I was like, yo, this is my first year plan. And then I have multiple phases of my company. Right now, for the summer, we're only launching phase 1 of the app. But I've already planned out multiple phases of this application because I'm looking towards the future. The cannabis industry is nowhere near where it's going to be within the next couple of years. And I'm thinking forward. So you have to also think forward with your marketing as well. And we all know the demographics of the people who smoke is not just the United States. It's on a global scale. It's on a global scale.
And I think that's interesting also because you're right, you're building something, but you're also, very much a startup phase. And like you said, you have a marketing background, but this is something completely new. Like, you're jumping in the tech game. Like, talk a little bit about what's that business planning process like? What are some of the things you're doing to prepare and learn for that? Because I'm thinking there's probably other people that could learn from your journey.
Oh, it's still a huge learning curve. Like, right now, I'm like, damn, I thought we was done for the app. I was getting excited. I'm like, May, we almost done. Came back around. I got into the app. I started playing with it. You got to break your stuff. And you start noticing all the flaws. And I'm like, nah, we got some things we need to change. When you jump into the tech realm, like, that's a whole different ball game. Now I'm messing with the Mark Zuckerbergs and the Evan Spiegels. Like, that's the realm that I'm in now. So when it comes to app development and user experience, all those things are really new to me. But it was really important that I had a team that not only understood my vision long term, but also understood like what I'm trying to do in terms of the aesthetic, what I want us, our image, what I want us to look like. Like, I want us to be nothing but pure excellence. When I think about Candalution, I think about us doing for cannabis what BT did for hip hop. You know what I'm saying? That's the way I look at it. Because when you see, we don't own the narrative in cannabis. Herb, High Times, all these major companies, Marijuana Moment, we do not own those narratives. So owning the narrative, being the one that's writing the narratives for our people, like that, it hits different. It's a different level and it's a different type of feeling to me.
Yeah, that's a big fact, and I feel the exact same way. And that's why for me, it's always been important to, be authentic, to have the opportunity, like you said, to tell our stories. Because the way I feel, right, there's always something that somebody could take away from this, right? There's somebody sitting at home that's going to be like, dang, I was thinking about marketing, or, I'm a Black woman. I don't see anybody out here. Here's something in your story that sparks that next person. So, it's so important for us to have that. And, you having that app, I'm glad to hear that media piece is going to be a big part of it too. Like that's next level.
No, definitely. We have, there's a media side. The first phase of Cannalution that is launching is the media side. It's the media and the community. The second phase will be Cannalution University, which is like our HBCU of cannabis that we're creating. But we have different levels that we are eventually we can't give y'all everything at once. We can't give y'all everything. We got to definitely push these out. But, for people that are out there thinking that they have to touch flower, the biggest misconception for a lot of us is that they think they need to touch the plant. And in my mind, I'm like, yo, I ain't saying ain't no money in growing and in retail, but it's a less startup fees to be on the ancillary side. And I feel like those ancillary businesses, especially for Black and brown people, because we know when it comes to raising capital, it's hell. It's hard for us to raise money. Ain't no family and friends around for us. I was lucky I got a family and friends around because my mama, she's the HBIC. I feel her. Like my mom gave me 15 grand and I was lucky to even have that. Mm-hmm. That paid for my legal and that paid for the branding for the company alone. I already had some money that was saved up on my own end. So I just put everything together and I was like, all right, we about to make this happen on this budget. Right. Until money start pouring in. But a lot of people don't have that opportunity that I had. Right. A lot of people don't have that opportunity. So how do you get started if you do not have the resources to get started? Use the skills that you already got. I had a marketing background and all I did was transfer my marketing skills into the cannabis space. And that was it. And to me, I think a lot of people need to start really thinking about, okay, am I going to be the picks and shovels of this business? Or am I going to be the person that's, doing the retail and doing the growing? It all depends on what your pockets look like. And to be into retail and to be in the growing side, it's expensive. It's in the millions of dollars. And unless you got those millions of dollars or somebody who gonna hand them to you, like, I think ancillary businesses is where it's at. And I think that's where a lot of people should put their focus. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't eventually become a grower or have a retail space. Right. But
you're getting experience. You're getting real industry experience right now.
Exactly. Start somewhere.
Mm-hmm. I think it's. I would love to dig in a little bit more because I love the point that you're making about that access to capital being one of the biggest problems because it exists both in cannabis and also in tech space, and you're kind of navigating both worlds. Especially, I know that Black women are some of the statistics I've seen, some of the lowest recipients of like venture capital dollars and everything like that. So. Talk a little bit about have you gotten to the point now where you're ready to try to raise capital for your company? Is that something you're considering? Or, what's your overall goals with that?
No, for sure. So right now, I am not in the position to take on any investors. And I've made that very clear to people who have come on and said, yo, I want to invest into the company. And I'm like, no, not right now. And it's not because I don't want the investment. It's because I don't even have a prototype out. Let me get this prototype out. Let me figure some things out, and then I can bring other people on board. Right now, we have a very small team. I'm eventually going to be bringing on a media director. Definitely. Well, there's actually somebody I'm eventually be bringing on as well. I'm not going to say no names, but if he watches, you know who he is, and he know what up. Somebody we're actually bringing him on board as well. He's going to be one of our advisors and strategists. So I want to make sure that I'm aligning myself and I'm connecting the dots first. Right now, we're only taking on sponsorships and advertising dollars to begin with. And then, as we continue to build, we can talk about some investment dollars. I think when we get to our second phase and our third phase of the company, we can think about bringing in investors. But right now, investors is not something that we're interested in. And I'm so glad that I had my mom to fall back on, because ain't no interest. Like, debt is something that's already killing us in our community, especially when you look at Black women who are historically a very educated sector who is drowning in student loan debt, like me. You know what I'm saying? So I did not want to take on debt very early with this company. I wanted to keep things very lean. I splurge on what needs to be splurged on. Wrong. But I wanted to keep things very lean for the start out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and let's talk about let's talk about cannabis culture a little bit too, man, because you mentioned that a little bit earlier. We have these images out there that aren't necessarily really representative of what it really is, right? What it means in our communities. What do you feel like is like missing in terms of representation, like really for people of color? Like what does cannabis culture mean to you, like at its truest form?
Um, I think the biggest thing when I think about cannabis culture is that it's not monolithic. Like so many of us are like, even when you look at the culture for Black people, like I'm Caribbean Black. And there's different types of Black, right? So I grew up in a Haitian household. So the way that I operate is definitely going to be much different than how somebody who is of African descent operates. And it's definitely going to be different from somebody who is Afro Latina. So for me, when I look at it, I'm like, yo, something has to give because we're not the same. We are not the same. You got your hood people in the hood in the projects. You got your people who never stepped foot in the hood. You got your suburban girls. You got your girls who went out to Morehouse. You got your girls who went to PWI. And I think it's important that we represent them all because all of them are consumers. They're the ones that you're going to have to be able to directly talk to. You can't just come in. When I first started in the cannabis industry, a thing that I saw was that a lot of people would associate Blackness with urban. First thing they'll be like, oh, this urban or inner city. Urban, and I'm like, do you know how many Black people ain't never lived in the inner cities? Or like, we cannot continue to have this narrative in our mind that there's just one type of Black experience because the Black experience is wide across the diaspora.
Absolutely, yeah. Speaking of that, we're seeing a lot of legalization take place in so many new places, right? And so many new communities, especially largely Black communities. A lot of places in the South. Is there any place in particular where you're seeing cannabis new to that you're most excited about?
I'm very excited about New York and
New
New Jersey.
York, yeah.
I was been excited about, yo, let me make you laugh, right? So I have a New Jersey number. My number is a New Jersey number. Back in 2017, I was getting ready because that's when I first heard I had an Airbnb. And when I went to my Airbnb, the guy who was our host, he was a person that worked for the city. And he was talking to me about cannabis because I was rapping about cannabis the whole time on my trip and he overheard us. And he told me that New Jersey is really looking to legalize it and all these other things. So me, I'm like, damn, New Jersey about to be legalized. And I always wanted to have a little city life in New York City and act like I'm a Sex in the City girl. So I changed my number. I was getting ready to move to Jersey. Jersey drag they goddamn feet until recently. Still got a Jersey number though.
Yeah, it's fun. So crazy 'cause I remember that as soon as when I first met you, I was like, "Oh, you from Jersey?" You was like, "Nah." I was like, "Okay."
Still got Jersey number though, but that's how that happened. I'm most excited about Jersey and New York, but I'm also excited about my hometown, Florida, because I feel like Florida gonna be a game changer. When you think about Miami and you think about what we got down here, like it's Miami.
Huge
Like
state, man. Yeah, good weather. That's a lot. I think Florida's going to be dope too.
I think Florida is going to be crazy, and that's why, like, I mean, we just saw True Leave merge with Harvest. And I literally
Yeah,
just
that's
seen a
big.
Harvest open up down the street from my house. You know what I'm saying? Literally down the street, I just seen a Harvest. It makes you think, because why are they merging? It's because they know when Florida legalizes, and we're probably looking at rec in Florida around 2023, 2024, right? Hopefully. But when you look at it long term, I'm like, True Leave is getting in their bag because they know when things are legal, it's a wrap. I think Florida
Definitely speaks to the strength of the market. I mean, just the fact that they had that type of revenue to be able to make that acquisition. So I mean, Florida's killing it. Like I said, it's a big state. only going to get bigger when adult use comes along. I'm going to be interested to see what that happens. A lot of action over here on the East Coast for real.
If you pay attention closely, and this is for anybody out there, if you pay attention very closely, look at these mergers and these acquisitions. What states are these people coming into? They're coming into Michigan and Florida and New York and New Jersey and all these states and for a reason. It's because they're one of the biggest. They're the hotbeds. When you look at Florida has over 22 million people who are over the age of 21.
Mm-hmm.
Then we get another over 100 million people who come and visit on a yearly basis.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look at the numbers, and I always tell people, like, look, do your research. Like me, I be all up inside of these companies' business. I be in their comments. I be in the back end of their website because I'm a little nerd. So, I'm clicking that right click and that inspect. Let me see what you done did your compute. What y'all doing over here? What y'all doing in the back end? Yep, I'm looking at the code in the back end. What y'all done built this on? WordPress, Squarespace, Shopify. I look at all of that. And you got some people who don't care to look at that because they're like, I'm only focused on me. But you got to look at the people who've done it before you, because if it works for them, it's going to work for you. I don't believe in starting from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
That's not my philosophy. I don't believe in starting from scratch. Don't nobody start from scratch.
That's
okay? Everything has been recycled. Everything is a repeat. Airbnb ain't nothing but people using other people's houses. They basically did what the hotels didn't. They don't have no ownership. Same with Uber. And when I thought about the cannabis industry, I always tell people, like, I'm not in this industry to pioneer it. This industry has already been pioneered in the legacy market. Mm-hmm. I'm here to disrupt. I am here to disrupt, because disruption is what causes change. When Netflix hopped into the game, Netflix disrupted the hell out of Blockbuster till they went out of business.
Right.
So when you're thinking about how you're going to come into the cannabis industry, stop thinking that you're going to come in and pioneer it. It's already been pioneered, baby. Them boys before us in the legacy market, they done did that. And they done paid their dues. You know what I'm saying? They sitting in the jail cell right now while you have this opportunity. So how are you going to come into this industry and disrupt? I think that's what a lot of people really need to think about and look at when they're thinking about starting a business in cannabis.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's such good advice. Like you said, you're talking about going and seeing, like, looking under the hood to see what makes things tick so you can learn, not reinventing the wheel. And I think that's advice that people can apply, whether it's talking about ancillary businesses, but even on the plant touching side, right? Like you said, that branding aspect of it. For people out there that may want to start a cannabis business, are there any companies out there now that you think do a good job with branding and marketing that people should maybe look at and kind of follow some of their moves?
So I know people I think Cookies has did an amazing job with their branding. It's undeniable. When you look at the numbers, they're one of the MSOs that's doing it bigger than anybody else. Cookies has done an amazing job, but look at how they really did it, though. A lot of their branding has allowed them to verge off and sell merch and sell, because they're not depending solely on the retail from cannabis to stay afloat. And I think a lot of people, and then I love that Berner has created himself as a celebrity CEO and come in and built his personal brand around Cookie's brand. And now you have somebody that every time he gets pressed, the company gets pressed. So from a branding perspective, when I first thought about Candalution's branding, I paid a grip for my branding. My branding has cost me in total so far almost $14,000. My branding and UX designed. And the reason why I was so big on my branding, I was like, yo, when a nigga see me, they gonna know it's me.
Hey.
Y'all know it's me.
Yeah, but you do. I'm saying you come through, you got the sneakers, all types of stuff. Huh? What other types of merch you got so far?
We got varsity jackets. I wish I would have.
I need one of them jackets. That's what I thought it was. The varsity jacket. I need one of them, man.
Yeah, we got varsity jackets because our whole branding is like an HBCU. I never had the opportunity to go to an HBCU. So I'm paying homage to something I never had an opportunity to actually attend. So our branding is specifically like an HBCU. So we have a lot of athleisure wear, and college type wear. We got joggers, we got some hoodies, we got t-shirts, we got varsity jackets. Hell, I'm about to get me some socks. We got soccer jerseys. We got it all. We got a basketball jersey too. We just ain't put that out there yet. But we got a bunch of different things as far as the way that we branded ourselves. But see how we also put out apparel, and then we didn't just think about, of course, we're going to get money off of advertising. And then the way that the business is set up is a subscription-based model. So you'll be able to have access to Cannabis University on a yearly basis for a small fee. That's how we're rolling it. So we don't only have that as a stream of income. We also got the live events that we plan on doing, advertising, all these sponsorships. So there's multiple ways inside of our business for us to make money. And as in the cannabis space, you have to really be diligent and think to yourself, we know it's not legal yet. And until we have safe banking, get rid of 280E. We need to think of multiple ways of how we're going to get money. Because you got to get paid for what you're doing, the work that you're doing, of course. You don't want to just keep putting money into something that's going to continue to suck you dry.
Yeah, that is actual factual right there. And you know what you've learned so much in like this man, like you said, it's 10 months. It's hard it feels crazy that's that amount of time. You know, during this journey that you've been on in the last 10 months, what would you say is the most important thing that you've learned, or either the biggest mistake that you've made that you share for somebody else to learn from, from walking in your shoes?
Sure. The biggest thing I learned is making sure that you build a really good team. When I first got my start, like my business partner, she is like my rock. Like whatever I lack, she has. And it's so important to align yourself and build a team that really sees your long-term goals and your vision. And to me, I feel like that's always the hardest part for so many founders. Building a team, building the people around you that are going to help you build the greatness that you are trying to build. When it came to building out this team, I kept telling myself, I'm like, yo, all I care about is that these people not only see the vision, they understand the vision, and they want to see us succeed just as much. I don't care if you end up going somewhere else, but when you come into our space, you got to understand that we're doing this for the culture. So you got to always be able to operate 110%. And if you can't match my energy, because I'm always on 100, if you can't match my energy and you're not matching what I put into the company, then I can't rock with you. I don't want to rock with you. I don't want you to be on my team. I don't want to have to deal with that. I think building a team is super, super, super important because you cannot do this alone. You are not a superhero. A lot of people start a business and, I was that person. You the marketer, you the person that's doing the email marketing, you doing the social media graphics, you're doing the social media, you're doing everything on your own. You can't do that. Especially not as something as complex as cannabis. You're talking about, at the end of the day, no matter how you look at it, this is medicine for a lot of people. And you need to treat this plant with integrity. When you come, the first thing you're thinking about is how much money I'm going to make, you've already failed. Because coming into this business is not about the money.
Mm-hmm. Man, that's some great, amazing advice right there. I think it's so important. For y'all out there listening, like I said, the people talk a lot about the generational wealth, but it really is about it really is, like you said, about the opportunity. I think so much about the social justice, economic justice, like you said, medicine, healing people. So it really is super important. And like you said, having a great team is one of the most important things. And, your team is lucky because they have a great leader, and it's dope to see you making all of these moves and doing everything. Tell everybody where they can, like, where can everybody find you? Where can everybody follow you on social media? Where can people find more about Cannalution? Where can everybody catch up with you?
Sure. So you can find me on Twitter because I don't be on Instagram like that, but y'all follow me on Instagram too. My Instagram is my name, Martine Francis Pierre. My Twitter is Martine F. Pierre. And on LinkedIn, same thing, Martine Francis Pierre. I try to go on LinkedIn. I try to be good. I'm not always on it. Yeah. The quickest way to get to me is my email and maybe Twitter. That's the quickest.
Yeah, I definitely think Twitter's probably the best one. That's where I see what's on there.
Yeah, that's where I get active.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure, for sure. With Martine, I definitely appreciate you coming through today. And then when is the app dropping? Let everybody know when they can look out
So
for it.
the app is we definitely dropping this year. We should be dropping. I'm still tying up some loose ends. We got some amazing, I can't wait to like tell y'all the brand partners we got. We got some amazing brand partners that are gonna be helping us launch. So by the end of the summer, before fall, y'all gonna get the app. And then we should be dropping the university, the second side of the application, no later than winter this year.
Nice. That's what's up, man. So y'all can go hit Cannalution.app to join the waiting list. And Martine, thanks so much for stopping through today and hollering at us. Yo, it's always a pleasure, and look forward to linking with you when I'm in the Florida area. I'm trying to get around everywhere.
You gotta come down for sure. Hopefully you come down and we got everything is together because Florida been open like ATL.
Oh, I know. I was out there. It's open. All right, homie. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Yep. And all right, y'all. Thanks for checking in. Peace.
Peace.